Based on a true life story, the story began with Jerry Lundegaard, who drove outside his city to meet Carl SHOWALTER and GAEAR GRIMSRUD, who he has hired to kidnap his wife. I was quite confused during the course of this story because why on earth would a man want to kidnap his own wife? But as the story progressed, we discovered that Wade GUSTAFSON happens to be Jerry's father-in-law, the father of his wife. Jerry worked under Wade GUSTAFSON as the general sales executive of the father's company. His father-in-law sold cars for a living, so he was very, very wealthy and he had so much money. On the other hand, Wade has refused to show or give Jerry any attention or even a little money to be on his own. Despite the fact that Jerry worked under Wade, Wade was always very harsh and careless towards Jerry. Jerry, on the other hand, had so much bills, so much debt to take care of, and on knowing what to do or his way out, it resulted into kidnapping his own wife. Wade didn't help the matter on the other hand, because Wade stole Jerry's ideas, business plans and all, telling Jerry to sell his business ideas to him, betraying his own son-in-law in various ways. And to crown it all, Wade was very, very stingy, like very, very stingy. So Jerry had no choice but to carry on with his plan and tell Carl and GAEAR to kidnap his wife. On this fateful day, Jean, Jerry's wife, was alone in the house when Carl and GAEAR came in and broke in through the glass to kidnap her. Jean struggled for a while to struggle and run for her life, but unfortunately, she was kidnapped eventually. Jerry, knowing this fully well that this happened because of him, he pretended and called Wade, his father-in-law, that his wife had been kidnapped. Expecting Wade, the father-in-law, to pay the ransom of $1 million, Wade, being the stingy man that he has always been, refused and didn't want to pay such amount. He even went to the extent of saying he can afford to pay $500,000, but $1 million is too outrageous for him. Jerry had to come in and say, "Oh my God, for crying out loud, this is your daughter. You can't leave him like this. You can't leave her. You have to rescue her." And the kidnappers already instructed that I alone should be in contact with them. It's a clear instruction. Wade refused, but Wade's friend came in and also advised Wade to pay the money so they can let the daughter leave. After transporting Wade's wife Jane to another city entirely to keep her safe, Carl drove back to the city to meet with Jerry, who was delaying the payment so they could get the money as soon as possible, due to the fact that they killed 3 people, including a police officer, while on their way to the city where they kept Jerry's wife. But then the story began. Margot, a police officer who happened to be pregnant, started investigating the matter, coming to investigate Jerry, asking him a series of questions about the kidnap of his wife and other things. Jerry, on the other hand, didn't want to be caught. He ran for his life and made plans with Wade, his father-in-law, to get the money paid as soon as possible. But a stingy man will always be a stingy man. Wade refused to let Jerry handle the matter. Wade stepped in, and instead of allowing Jerry to go deliver the money to the kidnappers who Jerry has arranged, the father-in-law stepped in and took the money himself, telling Jerry to stay home with the son, Scotty, and not going anywhere. So Wade took a gun with him when he was going to deliver the ransom. On getting to the spot where he was meant to deliver the money, Wade pulled out a gun on the kidnappers. Carl, the kidnapper, was shocked because he wasn't expecting Wade. He was expecting Jerry to bring the money himself so that they can share the money. And Jerry and his partner were supposed to collect $80,000 as their fee, and the rest of the money, $920,000, belonged to Jerry. But now the father took the whole $1 million and went ahead to fight Carl, who ended up shooting Wade with tons of bullets. Wade eventually lost his life during that battle because he was being stingy. Carl escaped with the rest of the money and left the scene. He took out $80,000 from the briefcase from the $1 million and hid the remaining money inside a snow buried by him and marked the spot, not knowing that he wouldn't eventually come back to that spot to get the money. On getting home, his partner, who was very violent and greedy, GAEAR, murdered him so that he can own all the money. GAEAR murdered Carl and decided to grind his body so his body would never be discovered. As this was going on, Margot, the police officer, came to the crime scene and saw GAEAR grinding Carl as after murdering him. Margot told GAEAR to freeze as she tried to make an arrest despite the fact that she was pregnant. GAEAR decided to flee, but Margot had no choice than to shoot him in the leg, after which he was arrested. And they confessed who actually sent them, and it was Jerry. At the end of the day, Jerry was also arrested to his hideout, where he ran to after knowing he has failed his mission. And eventually, the rest of the $1 million was never found. Jerry was arrested. The father-in-law lost his life because he was being so stingy, and Jane, the wife, was taken care of by an ambulance after surviving the kidnap incident. And so the story ends. For more stories like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and subscribe to FKLEF TV for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.